Hi, I'm Chris Favre. I'm the Web Content Manager for CFE Media and Technology, and today I'll be discussing the machine vision market with two thought leaders from content partner Interact Analysis. Now, when we talk about machine vision, it's referring to the technology and methods that provide imaging-based inspection and analysis for many different applications. And when it comes to manufacturing and engineering, they play a key role in keeping operations safe and efficient, and they are being integrated in new and exciting ways. And the market's projected growth reflects this. Now, let me introduce our two thought leaders today. Tim Dawson is the Senior Research Director and Principal Analyst for Interact Analysis Industrial Automation Team. He has more than 20 years of experience developing best-in-class research for the manufacturing sector and is a frequent speaker on all things research at conferences and industry trade shows across the world. Jonathan Sparkes is a research analyst for Interact Analysis and works in the industrial automation sector with a focus on machine vision and is particularly interested in how technology can be used to improve systems. Welcome, Tim and Jonathan. Thanks for joining me today.
Hi,
Hi,
Chris.
Chris. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, Chris.
All right, my pleasure. So I guess we'll start off with just kind of a general overview. Now, I kind of gave the boilerplate, definition of machine vision, but when you research machine vision, what exactly does that encompass?
Yeah, Chris. So we define machine vision as both industrial and non-industrial applications where a combination of hardware and software is used to provide operational guidance to devices in the execution of their functions based on the capture and the processing of images that they acquire. We have broken this down into 11 primary sub-segments: smart cameras and sensors, configurable vision systems, line scan cameras, area scan cameras, 3D cameras, frame grabbers, lenses, lighting, software, accessories, and services.
I think what's important to note as well is our point of measurement is considered direct from a machine vision component manufacturer or rebrand partner. So we don't actually consider revenues associated with distributor business and markups there, or additional value that may get added by vision integrators. So actually, we're looking at the sales of components, if you like, directly from vision manufacturers or as I say, companies that are rebranding someone else's camera or system. So our data overall, we would consider to be the most in-depth assessment available. Actually enables you to look at all of the products that Jonathan mentioned there by industry and by application for over 36 different countries worldwide. So our data we present in revenue terms, shipment terms, and pricing analysis as well. For all of those sort of combinations, we provide this layered analysis where you can see the nuance of one country and the market opportunity there by industry versus another country.
And a lot of nuances and a lot of different variables in play with the machine vision market as well as with others. And both machine vision and manufacturing in general has been adjusting after the COVID-19 pandemic. And the reports mentioned a contraction in 2023. Was that solely due to COVID and supply chain issues, or were there other factors in play to account for the contraction that happened?
So definitely, I mean, the vision industry is definitely still recovering from this sort of post-COVID hangover. I think one of the main factors that's really influencing that is this whole sort of stocking and destocking effect. So we actually saw a lot of overstocking happening in 2022 off the back of almost a shortage of products in 2021, obviously as a result of semiconductor shortages and then those supply chain issues sort of post-COVID. This left customers and distributors, if you like, with a glut of products. So this overstocking in 2022 left them with all this excess product that they then had to consume in 2023. So whilst that overstocking had a sort of net positive effect on growth for machine vision in revenues and shipments for 2022, it led to this excess inventory, which then had to be worked through sort of ever since. So this has undoubtedly stifled a lot of the market demand, negatively impacted machine vision revenues last year in 2023. And that I think there's sort of knock-on effects there as well, as it, in a sense, almost stifles a bit of future innovation as well, as sort of newer and smarter technologies that may have been launched by vendors in the last 12 months or so haven't entered the market necessarily as quickly as they would have otherwise. So 2023, we've definitely seen that destocking. I think 2024, we're still seeing that, and that has also placed pressure on pricing for vendors who've almost had to reduce prices a little bit to sell off old stock at a lower cost before they then, restock and build upon inventory again. So that's kind of placed further pressures on revenue opportunity last year in what was already turning out to be a difficult year for vision suppliers. I think this destocking effect has kind of almost worked its course, and actually looking ahead now to the future, although there's obviously a global economic downturn and slowdown occurring in 2024, some of that pain almost has already been suffered by vision vendors, and what we're seeing is we're actually hoping that off of a slightly down year last year, I think for vision there could be almost stability or actually a small return to growth, certainly in shipment terms, and there's things helping that. And then semiconductors coming back is just one example, a little bit, that already had a bad year last year, coming back to a more positive year in 2024, and then alongside that as well, beyond 2024, we're expecting a return to more normal levels of growth for vision for 2025 onwards, so more in the sort of 6 to 8% growth globally.
Yeah, it sounds like there was they had to overcompensate in 2022 because there was so much demand, and that it was almost inevitable that things were going to kind of regress back to the mean, if you will. So there was going to be the great high, but there would be a kind of a equally great low to kind of offset what had happened because of the pandemic.
Correct, absolutely correct. Yeah.
So from a regional perspective, it appears Asia Pacific is going to be driving a lot of this projected growth in the machine vision industry over the next several years. Why is that? And are there other regions expecting to show growth?
Yeah, so one of the main reasons for this is that whilst labour shortages are being felt worldwide, in countries where labour costs are cheaper, for example, China and India, this means machine vision pricing also needs to be lower to ensure companies can expect a return on investment in the future. So this is somewhere where we can see significant growth in some of these regions, although at a much lower average selling price. Additionally, one of our largest growth industries that we see is battery manufacturing, where currently we see 51% of all battery manufacturing occurring in China. This will also promote great growth in the APAC region. There's also a bounce back to be felt in some of the other industries, including electronics and semiconductors, in the coming years. And these are key industries for machine vision also. And large economies for these two key industries are based in the APAC as well, with South Korea and Taiwan. One region that we do expect to see some growth as well outside of APAC is the USA. So this will have large growth as it's beginning to gain size in battery manufacturing itself. And it also experiences large growth in software designers and engineers also. It was also one of the countries that suffered the most during 2023. So there is also the opportunity for large growth to be felt in this market as a bounce back.
Yeah. So, as it was, with the supply and demand, it does seem like, everything's kind of slowly going back on the upswing. So that's good news for these regions. Are there any other, what about like Europe and maybe some of the other areas like South America? What's the projection there?
I guess so. So more broadly thinking about Europe, there's definitely I don't know, more struggles in the region, I would say. Obviously, Germany, clearly the biggest manufacturing economy in Europe, is definitely having a tougher time. One of the big consuming industries of machine vision has typically been the automotive sector. Automotive has had a pretty good year the last couple of years, but actually, well, pretty good year the last couple of years off the back of the difficulties prior to that. But what we're seeing, unfortunately, is again a slowdown there in Germany, especially for 2024, and that's definitely harming prospects for vision more broadly. So I think if you look at Europe as a whole, we've actually got it going down more so than APAC or other regions. It's got less positive influence from some of those industries that are helping to bolster and back up growth in Asia and other parts. So so yeah, it's unfortunately, sorry to say, not such a good picture for the European market overall.
Okay. Hopefully, that will in time turn itself around. Now I'd mentioned, machine vision is used in so many different applications in engineering and manufacturing. Over the next several years, which application do you see having the biggest growth over the next 5 to 6 years?
Great question. Thank you, Chris. There's some couple of really good standout applications that I think are worth calling out. Definitely autonomous driving and navigation is one that I'd call out here. We're predicting sort of an average growth over the next 5 years of over 20%. I'd say machine vision for autonomous driving and navigation is partly linked to sort of the uptake and use of autonomous mobile robots and AGVs, so helping those robots and systems to navigate facilities. So that's really the biggest growth industry. It's also actually benefiting from use in sort of more logistic settings, but also in the agricultural industry, where I guess vision is helping to guide agricultural robotics, increasingly farm machinery, and then also sort of autonomous tractors and over time. So that's one sort of standout application, I would say. And then the second actually that I wanted to call out is bin picking. So this is applications where robots or sort of vision guided robots really, where robots are being used to pick sort of random items from a bin, either sorting, picking items, placing those items in a larger package, palletizing and depalletizing those. But I think the main difference here versus a traditional sort of picking application in a vision system is that the items that are being picked can obviously be sort of fashioned in or positioned in random orientations, so being picked across 3 dimensions, so that random orientation of goods from a much bigger bin is the thing that's quite interesting there. Part of the reason for that growth is use of those in sort of logistics and postal sortation, where increasingly companies are using these systems to package goods ultimately into boxes of a suitable size, and that's really helping to drive growth for vision overall. So.
Yeah, there has been, I know, a lot of growth in automation the last couple of years, and automation is getting more sophisticated and more challenging in terms of the applications that it could be used for, and to have an equally sophisticated automation system, you need a sophisticated vision system to match this. And from what I've been seeing, there's been a lot of like really cool advances in the 2D and 3D vision systems that have been coming out the last several years from different manufacturers that are more than able to meet that moment of providing the manufacturers the sophisticated automation systems that they need. So, in terms of the technology, 3D vision cameras are driving a lot of the machine vision market growth. Is this because of the great need for greater automation, or are there other factors in play, do you think?
So I think it's a combination of factors around the different 3D camera types and the applications that will provide that growth in the 3D market. So stereo and time-of-flight 3D cameras is benefiting from the mobile robot market, where these robots are being fitted with one or sometimes more cameras to supply their navigation and guidance. And where this mobile robot market is expanding so rapidly, this is obviously helping to promote 3D camera growth as well. And structured light 3D cameras has benefited from its deployment in picking robot applications. And increasing competition in this market has helped to drive growth for this camera type and 3D in general, as they are coming down in price. Increased competition in the market with both new vendors and existing vendors having new product releases, helping to drive new market growth. New competition, especially from China, has placed pressure on vendors to reduce their prices. Price pressure is expected to impact all 3D camera technologies throughout our forecast period. These reductions over time are helping vendors to pitch 3D as a more standard product instead of a 2D system, which is in turn obviously creating larger growth for the 3D solution as well.
Yeah. And, with all this rise in automation, especially in the machine vision market and everything gets smarter, we have to talk about AI. AI is everywhere, and I know AI has an effect on automation and machine vision, but in the short and the long term, what effect do you think AI will have on machine vision? In what way will it help it evolve?
AI and sort of deep learning software alongside that's really sort of well suited to quality inspection tasks, where it's helping to analyze objects for defects or faults. What we're also seeing is AI is enabling customers and end users to operate with a much higher sort of pass rate than standard sort of rule-based software. So AI is obviously helping to reduce errors in the use of machine vision, and helping to make those systems more accurate generally overall. So currently, actually, the rule-based, the software associated that is much cheaper than the sort of AI and deep learning based software. So a typical sort of rule-based image library, if you like, would cost maybe as little as $100, whereas often some of these AI and deep learning based software tools are more in the sort of $1,000 plus sort of price point. So big difference in price there, but obviously benefits to be had by using those sorts of things. In the future, I mean, we anticipate that both software types will really continue to experience growth, continue to grow, but that AI and deep learning software side of things will definitely be the faster growing subsegment of the market. I think engineers as well are finding ways to use and create and design AI software solutions. Some of those are not always fit for task, based on people developing their own systems in that sort of way. So I think that has almost harmed the opportunity sometimes. Some customers are still a little bit skeptical and untrusting of these AI solutions, but it's definitely sort of helping to progress the market, helping to make things better and easier to use longer term. I think beyond that, actually, AI we'll start to see it being implemented in cameras and machine-based vision systems, to just for the easier deployment and programming of these systems. So what I suspect ultimately we'll see is, I mentioned kind of revenues that and monetary opportunity that vendors are able to generate through the different software types. But actually, what I expect in the future is more so the AI will be almost become a feature set of cameras and machine-based vision systems, and rather than charging additional fees necessarily, it will just become a standard feature of a product that maybe end users won't even realize they're using, but it will just make the products easier to use, easier to program in the in the short term. So that setup phase, which actually can often be a challenge for companies, for individuals, unless you're a vision integrator or a vision engineer in a sense. It can be a barrier to adoption, but AI is actually helping to reduce those barriers.
Yeah, and that actually tracks because I was at ARC a couple of weeks ago, and one of the panelists I heard, she said that, we want to get to the point where AI is basically unnoticed. Like it's just part of the overall fabric of the system or the product or whatever it is you're developing. So it's good to hear that others are thinking along those same lines. Like, it's a tool, and that can make your life easier, and that's ultimately where it's supposed to go.
Correct. Exactly.
So your report had indicated, it's going to be a little tough sledding right now, but it's going to get better over the next several years, beyond up to 2028. Beyond that, is machine vision market growth still expected, or are there potential storm clouds on the horizon?
Yeah, so the long-term outlook for the industry should always remain positive. We will see machine vision as naturally continue to have revenue growth as more systems and processes become automated. However, as always, this growth could always stagnate if there is a global crisis or a large macroeconomic event occurring to halt or slow growth. The continued lack of manual labour and skilled labour also continues to offer opportunities to automate sections of both manufacturing and non-manufacturing industries. Also, these systems, whilst not short-term, offer substantial return on investment in the longer term for companies.
I think alongside what Jonathan mentioned as well, one potential concern actually could be I guess the advent and more wide scale deployment and use of sort of embedded vision systems. So these are I guess sort of low cost board level cameras and controllers that as an alternative solution to a machine vision system or a more traditional machine vision system. What I don't know. Our expectation is that these will not harm, shall we say, like the most traditional industrial and non-industrial vision applications. So those systems that require sort of product longevity and ruggedness, and they'll instead mainly be used in, I guess, sort of other higher volume and other unique applications where I guess traditional vision systems would otherwise be sort of considered too costly. So that is a potential storm cloud, I would say. But I think the impact of that will be fairly limited, and actually it won't harm quite so much the more traditional vision customer or vision opportunity.
Yeah, it sounds like embedded vision will have, its place in the sandbox, and machine vision will have its place in the sandbox. And there may be some overlap, but maybe as technology gets more sophisticated, but in general, it sounds like each area has its own, special place, and can function just fine, for what users need in those areas.
Correct. I think, yeah, they can play nicely together, and yeah, there's definitely future opportunity for both, for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Tim and Jonathan, for your insights today. I appreciate it. Some really interesting, information about the machine vision market, and where the market looks like it's going to be heading in the next several years. So I appreciate your taking your time today and offering these insights to me.
Thank you so much, Chris. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you.
Thank you, Chris. Really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, guys. And if you enjoyed this video, we have other video interviews with thought leaders, including a few from Interact Analysis on our YouTube channel, Control Eng TV. And you can also find these articles and videos on our website, controleng.com. So do look out for those. And I'm Chris Favre. I'm the web content manager for CFE Media and Technology. And thank you for watching this video.